Do I need to adjust this at all? Does it pick up pretty good?
Yeah, it picks up good. Hey there, thanks so much for joining me here on Wave Now. I'm Myra Ansari. Happy 4th of July to all of you out there. I'm really excited to have a big important person here in our community joining us today. This is Captain Tamara Stewart from the Louisville Fire Department. First, thank you so much for all the hard work that you do, our local firefighters do, in helping our community stay safe. We are talking about something that is really important. You all are some of the bravest people in our community. When tragedies and danger happens, when people are running out, you all are running in. You're hiring, and that's why we're talking today, because the deadline to apply at the Louisville Fire Department is tomorrow. So tell us about who you're looking for, these brave men and women in our community.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on. I've been on the fire department almost about 10 and a half years. I love it so much, and I love getting the word out there to people that may not have ever thought about the fire department as a career. It's a great career. So thanks for having me on.
So if you have a question for Captain Stewart that I can get to her, if you have questions about what this job is like to be a firefighter, what positions are available, post them here on our stream, and I'll try to get them over to her and monitoring this while we're talking. Captain Stewart, I didn't realize this until you came here. I thought, oh, you can apply anytime throughout the year to be a firefighter, but there's actually a window that you have, and that window closes tomorrow.
Correct. Yes. We're typically only open for applications about 1 month per year. Now, our Chief O'Neill has been our chief for coming up on a year now, and he is working very hard to make it to where it's a little bit more an annual thing. So if for whatever reason this year doesn't work out, or maybe you're a high school, you're about to start your senior year, and so you don't meet our age requirements yet, remember us next June.
Okay.
Keep us in mind. And sometimes it might not be the right time for someone to make a career change, but I want to plant that seed, because someone planted that seed for me and told me, they tried to get me to try out in 2005, and I didn't get on until 2013. But sometimes just planting that seed to know that there's this career out there waiting for you. So if we'd love to have everybody apply before tomorrow night at 11:59, but just in case you don't, meet age requirements, or this isn't the right time in your life, remember us for next June and the next June and the next June.
Okay. Tell us about your personal story. You had a career change. You weren't always in the line of fighting fires, but tell us where you started off and how you got here.
Sure. So I grew up in a town just outside of Dallas, Texas, called Irving. And when I was a choir kid, so I sang in choir, I did music theater and things like that. But somewhere in my brain, I wanted to be a police officer. So I joined the Law Enforcement Explorers. And I really enjoyed what I learned there. There was something about putting on that uniform, that it's this pride and thinking about serving the community. When it was time to go to college, I was like, but I felt so called to be a teacher. So I ended up being a teacher, an education major. So I got my degree there, and then I moved to Louisville to attend the University of Louisville. So I got my master's degree, and this was all in choir and music education, and I started teaching. So I taught here in JCPS for 8 years total. And
you loved it.
I did love it. And so, getting to make music with young people was just so rewarding. And a lot of my students, I taught at J-Town High School for 7 years. I would have a lot of these students for 4 years, and they became like,
family.
My kids. Yeah. And so the changing careers was actually kind of nerve-wracking for me. It was scary.
That's scary.
And
when you're doing something you're so familiar with, if someone said, hey, go do something different than you've been doing for the past one, I would be nervous.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah. And I had never thought about, I had never thought about being a firefighter growing up, because in the 80s in Texas, I don't remember seeing any female firefighters. So sure, we always tell our kids, you can be anything you want to be when you grow up. But really, sometimes it takes meeting someone or seeing someone that looks just like you to really let that click and say, this is for me. I can do this. So when I moved to Louisville in 2000, I actually, a couple years later, started playing on a sports team, and I met a girl there who was on the fire department. She said, you're pretty athletic. You should try out for the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, that was 2005.
Was that ever in your mind, like when you were, teaching, like, firefighter?
No, it was really that conversation with her. And she kind of explained to me, what a day is like and what to expect and things like that. And I thought that sounds really cool and kind of reminded me of when I was a law enforcement explorer and, that service to the community. But it wasn't the right time in my life. I had just started teaching at J-Town High School.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be there for the students. And I was working on my career as a choir director. But as time went on, there was that, I want to say that itch, that call to serve.
Mm-hmm.
It never went away. So I think it was 2010 or so, I tried out for Louisville Fire Department, but I didn't get hired that year. So I decided to get on as a volunteer firefighter in one of our local suburban departments. And I found out I loved it. Mm-hmm. I loved this.
What did you love?
Just, again, it was, firefighting, especially, it's very physical work. Mm-hmm. And so to get myself in that kind of shape, that was a reason, again, as an athlete, I enjoyed working out, but this was like a reason, mm-hmm. And not just, I'm going to skip my workout today. I don't skip workouts because I know it's like, I've got to stay in shape.
Yeah.
And then, because it is difficult, but also part of it was a little bit like knowing that there's not very many women in the fire department. I thought, I know I can do this. I know I can do this. And it was kind of like I wanted to prove to myself, yes. Yeah. And to prove to myself, I am tough enough. Uh-huh. So through my volunteer experience, I found out I loved, again, putting on a uniform, putting on we call it the gear that we wear on the different runs. We call it turnout gear. Mm-hmm. Putting on your turnouts. It's going to sound maybe a little bit silly to anybody who's not a firefighter. The sound of the siren, mm-hmm. when you're racing to that emergency, that's part of what we love. And it kind of symbolizes everything, that we've trained for. And we don't want bad things to happen to people, but unfortunately in this world, bad things are going to happen all around you. Uh-huh. So you can get paid to be one of the people that goes and helps make the emergency better. And the uniform and the turnout gear and the siren on the fire apparatus when you're going down the road, you have a purpose and that you're doing something that's giving back to the community.
I was going to say, I'm sure the thrill of I'm needed mm-hmm. or you need me, that is so rewarding.
Sure, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Now you touched on this and I'm really glad that you did because we don't see a lot of women who are firefighters. And you are living proof that you can be. Tell us about how this job is for a woman. Is it realistic? Is it something you can do? Are you looking to hire more women?
So we're always, we want to hire anybody. First of all, it's not some people say, well, you're always talking about hiring women. We're just talking about statistics here. So for example, right now we have approximately 608 applicants. Only 49 of them are women. And that's kind of on par, but I would love it if we had 600 men apply and 600 women apply. Mm-hmm. 50% of our population is female. And honestly, we don't fight fire every day. Not every single company fights a fire every day, but pretty much every fire company makes a medical run every day, at least one. So most of our runs are actually medical runs. And I can tell you 3 or 4 different experiences of my own where the patient was female, she was having a female problem. So typically I'm the only female on my crew. So here comes a fire crew, 3 of them are men, 1 of them is a woman. And so this person's already probably having the worst day of their life.
Absolutely.
So to be able to kind of step in and say, almost like, I got you, sister. You know what I mean? Like it's that.
You understand.
Yeah. And so maybe that patient feels a little bit less embarrassed or, and they shouldn't ever feel embarrassed anyway. An emergency is an emergency. We're here to help. We're not judging by any way, shape or form, but we are humans and we have emotions. So if it's a situation where, there's particular religions that prefer that if you have a female patient that that a female be the one to assess. To not tell, so we can
that's totally
having,
and we have a diverse community in
yeah.
our in Louisville, so that's definitely something.
Yeah,
to
so
keep in mind.
having a diverse crew, whether it's culture backgrounds, gender, racial backgrounds, we want a diverse fire department because we're problem solvers. So we might show up and it's not a fire and it's not a medical run and it's not a car accident. It's just something weird is happening. And because you have a different experience and I have different life experience and this person has a different life experience and this person has we come up with a bunch of different ideas instead of, we all have the same idea because we're all exactly like each other. So that diversity is really important. As for women specifically, the reality is, and I'm going to speak about myself here. I don't have the same brute strength, upper body strength as, say, a male counterpart. Mm-hmm. Okay. I am 5'10". I weigh 150 pounds. I'm actually the size of an average gentleman. Mm-hmm. But pound for pound, that gentleman is probably going to be able to bench press or lift more pounds than I do. So in my journey becoming a firefighter and the training that I did to increase my upper body strength, women a lot of times for many years, it was kind of told to us, don't lift heavy weights, you'll get big and bulky, yes, you'll look like a man.
Yeah.
And you can see
you're not big, I don't
to become a female bodybuilder overnight, that is very difficult. Your nutrition has to be on point and your training regimen, you're not going to accidentally turn into the Incredible Hulk. It's not going to happen. So my advice to women specifically, or anybody that might be a little bit smaller statured, don't be afraid of lifting heavy weights. I promise you'll get strong. That's what's going to happen. You're not going to magically turn into, a big, bodybuilder on the cover of Muscle and Fitness magazine. So,
unless you want
to, absolutely. But again, it's that type of training for that sport is completely different. So, don't be afraid to lift heavy weights. And in fact, you need to be able to do that because when we have on all of our fire gear,
it's heavy.
Yes, we're looking at 60 pounds. That's just what you're wearing. Now you need to pick up about 50 or 60 pounds and walk it up 20 flights of stairs. Mm-hmm. So, you've got to be able to have that muscular endurance, that cardiovascular endurance. And yes, strength is important, but honestly, muscular endurance is something that doesn't get talked about a whole lot. So if I'm super strong, and let's say I can bench press 300 pounds one time, but on a fire, the fire might go out in 5 minutes, or it might take 30 minutes, or it might take 2 hours, or it might take 5 hours. We don't know how long it's going to take. So we want a good mixture of strength, cardiovascular fitness, and muscular endurance so that you can keep working for elongated periods of time.
So what if I'm not there yet in all of those categories that you mentioned? Is it something, yes, your deadline is closing tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Is it something, okay, Captain Stewart, I'm going to work to get myself in a better physical and mental condition. I'm going to apply next year. Or can I go ahead and apply and hope that I can walk in the door and make it?
That's a great question. And so, yes, I'm going to encourage you, even if you're thinking about it this much, put in that application, because in reality, our process takes a number of months. Okay, it can be 6 months, it could be 7 months. So the first step of the process is the application. The next step is a written test. It's a 100-question test. It's over math, basic math, reading comprehension, and a few mechanical reasoning questions. Then you'll have an opportunity to come down to our fire academy and run a practice test. And that doesn't even happen until the second half of August.
Okay.
By the time you run your real physical test, now we're looking at September and October. So you have some time.
This is clearly a process.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
This is not like I turn in my application, you say yes, and kaboom, I'm out fighting fires. This
correct.
is bit of a process. But the thing is, which I really admire, during this process, people are getting paid, correct?
So you actually start getting paid your first day of the fire academy.
Academy, okay.
Yes. So the trajectory, the way this looks, and a lot of this it fluctuates a little bit because the hiring, yes, you're applying to be a Louisville firefighter, but the fire department itself is not the one testing you. That goes all through our civil service in Louisville Metro government.
Okay.
So that office, they have a limited number of people, and they're not just hiring us, they're hiring LMPD and LMEMS, they're hiring lots of people, and we have promotional exams. So they are very busy. So they do a great job, hiring and doing the promotional tests for everybody, for everyone in our department. That's part of the reason that it takes a number of months, but also so we have our written test, you have your physical test, then there's an interview portion, then we have a polygraph, there's a medical and a stress test. So there's a lot of steps along the way, which is part of the reason it takes 6 to 7 months to get hired.
You also need at least a GED or a high school graduate. Talk to me about the type of background, what would omit you from applying.
Right. So if you have felony convictions or multiple misdemeanor convictions, now they do look at things on a case by case. So maybe you had a misdemeanor a number of years ago. Don't let that deter you. Go ahead and put it in. It will be reviewed on a case by case.
Okay.
But yes, we are entrusted by the public. So it is important. You need to be able to pass a background check. And the thing is, someone explained to me, actually, the girl that was trying to recruit me back in 2005. She said, "We're not looking for perfect, okay, but we are looking for people that have maybe you made some mistakes earlier in your life. Did you learn from them?
Absolutely.
What have you done?"
Yeah.
So it isn't one of these things that one misdemeanor keeps you out of the process. But do expect to explain in your interview, hey, I own my mistake.
Absolutely.
These are the things that I've done to further myself, and so don't be deterred by that.
Yeah, no one is perfect, and that's not meant to be judgmental, but to the fact that, as you said, you own your mistake and you can pave your path and decide which way you want to go in life.
Absolutely.
So in this link, if you're joining us, I've put the link to Louisville Fire Department. So you can see the requirements for yourself. You can apply the work schedule.
Okay.
Talk to me about that.
Sure. So, and just to kind of recap, you mentioned high school diploma or GED, age 18. Now, Louisville Fire does not have an upper age limit.
Okay.
So some fire departments, it's like once you hit 35, you can't apply. Like it's an upper age limit. We do not have an upper age limit.
Okay.
So that's up to you physically if you are capable.
So if I'm in my 50s and
come
my
on
60s,
down.
Okay, great. That's awesome.
And a valid driver's license.
Okay.
So a learner's permit does not count. Okay. So we need a valid driver's license. So those are the 3 requirements. As for the schedule, once you get all the way through the process and you'll get your conditional offer of employment and say, congratulations, come on down to the fire academy. The recruit class starts I'm not sure when it will start, but it'll be sometime in the spring, typically late winter or early spring is what we're looking at for now. When you're a recruit in the academy, our academy is 6 months long. And your schedule is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you're home at nights, and you're home on the weekends.
Not bad.
Right. So, and that's where we teach you everything. So you don't have to have any previous firefighting or emergency medical experience. So we teach you all of that. Great. So you graduate from the fire academy, you get your official uniform and walk across the stage, and you get assigned to a firehouse.
Okay.
So once you're assigned to a firehouse, then you work 1 day on, 2 days off. And it's a rotating schedule like that. So 24 hours on duty, 48 hours off duty.
Okay.
And if you were to look at a schedule, that works out to about 10 or 11 days a month.
Okay.
So it's a really great flexible schedule in the sense that, you're home, you can get your kids ready for school. You can, go to the bank, you can go to the doctor's appointment, in the middle of the day, you can go to Costco at hours when it's not crazy.
Which is God knows when.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and then we have paid vacation days in there.
Okay.
But let's say I needed this Wednesday off, but I don't have a vacation day on that day. Well, and now the trades are a privilege. So, we make sure that we use our trades, properly and don't abuse the fact that we can make trades. So let's say I need Wednesday off and I call one of my colleagues that's assigned to a different shift. I say, hey, could you work this Wednesday for me? And he or she might say, yeah, sure. Can you work 2 Thursdays for
Sure.
me on my day.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So I've just made a trade. So then I get 5 days off in a row.
That's not
So
bad.
even though I didn't have a vacation day to
Yeah.
use, I can make a trade with someone. They work for me in my place,
Mhm.
and then I pay them back in a couple weeks or whatever day that we agree upon.
Sure.
So it's really flexible.
Flexible.
A lot of people also, they have, whether it's a hobby that they like to do or just spending time with their family, but some people have like side businesses. So
Mhm.
when I was a firefighter, I had a sergeant that he made $70,000 on the fire department at the time. He made $70,000 cutting grass. The guy was 25 years old making $140,000.
Wow.
So
That's impressive.
yes. So it's really great schedule when it
Yeah.
comes to, whether you have a family and you want to spend time with them, or if you just have hobbies, like that's what I have hobbies.
Yeah.
Or if you have a side business, maybe you're a personal trainer.
Mhm.
Like there's so much flexibility with our schedule.
So you mentioned a little bit of salary, but starting salary is a little bit more than 55,000, which
So-
is not bad.
So yes, well, we actually just passed a contract. So I don't have, this just happened.
Yes,
this past
I know
weekend.
we've had that in the news.
So I don't have the exact numbers, but we're looking closer to starting salary with state incentive and clothing allowance and base pay all calculated. We're looking closer at 68,000
Oh, that's
for
not bad at
starting
all.
salary.
Okay.
And then with pay increases, by year 5, as a firefighter, you're pushing $90,000. So this new contract is I think it's a good opportunity for an increase of pay.
Yeah.
So, and we do run into burning buildings. You do miss time with your family because if I'm scheduled to work on Christmas Day, I don't have enough seniority to get a vacation day on Christmas Day.
Mhm.
So there will be times that you're away from your family, of course.
Sounds like a TV job.
Yes, but I do feel like, I personally feel like I'm paid adequately for the job that I do. So
Gotcha.
it's enough to buy a house and have a family and to save for retirement and all of the things that you need to have a family and to provide, for yourself and your loved ones.
So we talked about quite a bit of things, and really, if you have a question for Captain Stewart, please post it here. And this is a great opportunity to, you've been wanting to try something different. You want a job. Maybe you're just tired of the, day in and day out of your job. You don't feel like it's rewarding. Talk to me, Captain Stewart. Share a memory of something, a moment in your job that you walked away maybe feeling different about who you are.
Sure. Well, like I said,
Put you on the spot.
as a school teacher, I will say, like, I felt that as a school teacher, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's a different type of service. One of the rewarding things I remember as a school teacher, because I saw these students every day for, like I said, 4 years.
Mhm.
It's like you watch them grow up and to blossom into these people. So one of the things as a firefighter, a lot of times, if we make a medical run or we respond to a fire at a person's residence, unless they come and find us, we don't know what happens to them. Okay, so we don't get told, hey, this person made it, or this person, we don't know unless they come find us. So there was one day, I was a firefighter, and we all have, every fire apparatus that responds to a fire has a different role.
Mhm.
So my role that day was called RIT, and that stands for Rapid Intervention Team. So the RIT team is specifically set up, and they are the ones that rescue a downed firefighter. So there's other companies that get there. Their job is to rescue civilians,
Mhm.
right? If there is somebody that needs to be rescued, those firefighters go do that. We have a whole company that's dedicated to rescuing downed firefighters in case that situation happens. Well, the fire was pretty much wrapping up, and I see a firefighter come around the back of the house, and he was holding a dog.
Oh.
And the dog was limp.
Mm.
So he brings the dog, and I waved him. I said, hey, come over here. So part of the RIT team, part of the equipment that we have there is a medical kit and oxygen. So he brought me the dog, and we actually have pet oxygen masks.
Yes.
So we put the dog on oxygen, and he started to come around. He started to open his eyes a little bit and lick his lips. And so he had inhaled some smoke.
Mhm.
But he started to come around a little bit, and the owner took him to a nearby emergency animal place, right? And so again, unless somebody comes and tells us what happens. We never know what happens.
Sure.
So I'm an animal lover. And so the next day
So
I was so worried about this dog. Like, did he make it? And that kind of stuff. Well, this lady comes to find us a couple weeks later. And she told me that she had lost her son. And that dog was kind of like a companion or
all she had, maybe.
Yeah. And it was actually for her daughter, because her daughter really took the loss of her brother like so hard. So that dog, the fact that dog survived was so instrumental to their family, to dynamic, and also animals are our pet.
Yeah,
they are family. So.
And if you ever lost a pet in a tragic way, a house fire, like that is like the most heartbreaking thing,
So, so to find out that this dog survived, and that what we did that day, and some people, so I've never pulled a person out of a fire. So I've never experienced the, rescuing a human being. But I just know, even though I wasn't the one that pulled the dog out, it's a team effort. The fact that everybody did their job that day, no humans, were harmed, and the animals that were trapped inside got out and they survived, So, and then just to find out how important that family pet was to this family, it's one of those things that some people maybe wouldn't think twice about saving a dog, but there's, it was to me that in that moment in time, I just thought, what a difference it made for that little girl and that whole family.
If I can share a personal story, my father was in a Louisville nursing home, and he can't walk anymore. And it's been really hard on our family. And we had to get him into a personal vehicle, and the nursing home couldn't do it.
Okay.
So we were left in this okay, I can't lift him. My mom can't lift him. How are we going to get him into this car to get him to the place he needs to go? And somebody had I was in a panic mode. Like, I have to get him in this car, and I can't get him out of this wheelchair, and no one can help me here. And it was like, it was just like a personal meltdown fiasco,
right?
And somebody had the idea, call the fire department. And the St. Matthews Fire Department came. So big thank you to them. And these firefighters were so kind, and they lifted my dad up, and put him in the car. And I was like a hysterical crying mess. They have no idea how much that simple gesture of just helping my dad out calmed my fears, and, didn't derail all of our plans for the day. And you mentioned it may not be running into a burning building every day, but just helping people for their medical needs. And it can make such a huge difference. So I'm going to start crying, because it was just, it was like, I didn't know who to turn to. And then someone was like, call the fire department. And I was like, oh my God, maybe they can help us. And they did.
Yes,
they did. They were my hero that day for sure. So,
and that's the, like you said, it's, it may seem little to someone else, or it may be, just one run that we made in that day, but never undervalue or underestimate the power that kindness and that professionalism in that moment. Yeah. And if you multiply that, if you make 10 runs a day and multiply that 10 days a month over an entire career, how many lives have you touched?
Yeah.
And again, maybe we never know the end of the story or the outcome.
Yeah.
But there is that satisfaction when I go to bed at night, knowing that I did my best today, and I'm going to do my best tomorrow, and somewhere along the line, I'm going to help someone. And so I do feel a sense of satisfaction that I am part of the greater good.
Absolutely. So. You are definitely a hero. Do you feel like a hero?
I don't.
I know that's like a silly question.
Yeah, no,
like an awkward question to ask.
Firefighters very typically are the type of people like, I'm not a hero, I'm not a hero. This is my job. Because truly, we are trained to do these things. And so we don't think of ourselves as heroes.
But you are.
But we appreciate the fact that other people might think that of us.
Yeah.
And so we strive to live up to that. But me personally, do I think I'm a hero? No, but I do give my best every day, and I love what I do.
Well, we appreciate everything you do. And I know that our viewers who are joining us do as well. And if you want to say a thank you to our firefighters, our first responders, please do so in this thread. I know that they would appreciate that positivity. So there's a link on this stream that you can use to apply. So you got me crying now.
Oh.
So to apply with the Louisville Fire Department, their application process, again, it closes tomorrow at midnight.
11:59.
11:59.
Yes.
So if you're thinking about it, it doesn't hurt. Put it in an application. It doesn't work out this year and you're still having that itch, try again next year. And it's open to anybody. Don't be, as long as you're over 18, concerned about your age, your gender, your religious background,
education. No college required, no previous. You don't have to have any special certifications. We will literally teach you everything. Now, I will say, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Our fire academy is very tough.
Sure.
But it needs to be, because our job is, yes, our job is tough. And but again, come ready to work, have a great all-in attitude. But then you also get a whole new family of brothers and sisters. We spend 1/3 of our lives with each other, and I have some of my best friends on the planet are my brothers and sisters on the fire department. So you're getting a whole new family as well.
Absolutely. So. All right. So do not be afraid. Definitely apply. Captain Stewart, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want folks to know about?
I will throw out, if I can,
absolutely,
a phone number.
Okay.
So if anybody has any questions, part of my job as a recruiter, I'm here to help you understand the process. I was lucky that I had a friend on the fire department that kind of was like able to tell me what to expect. Mm-hmm. One of your listeners or viewers might not have that resource, but I can be that person. So my phone number is 502-539-7213. You can call me, and part of my job is to help you be successful. So if you want ideas on how to train or expectations or what to wear, so here's a tip. Firefighters, our gentlemen, have to be clean shaven, because the mask that we wear, if facial hair can keep it from suctioning to your face properly. Sure. We call it seal. So it wouldn't prevent you from getting a job, but one of the things that we look for in the interview is what is your appearance? So, show up in a suit and a tie, or a pantsuit, or show up in a nice outfit. And if you're a gentleman, clean shaven. Now, again, it wouldn't prevent you from getting hired if you have a beard, but it's one of those things that if you don't know about this line of work, how would you possibly know that?
I had no idea.
So that's just little tips and tricks and advice, because I want to share this career opportunity with people. It changed my life, and I love my students, but I get to serve. I get to wear this uniform. I get to ride around in the big red truck with the siren, and it is surreal when you're running into a burning building, and everyone else is running out, and you're running in, and there's orange all around you, but you know what to do, and you're going to put that fire out. And it is, I will say, it's a rush of adrenaline. It's calculated risk, right? So we're not haphazard, okay, but we rely on our training. But that's to me, that's really cool. Not that I want anybody's belongings to be on fire, but the way we look at it is we have all this training, and if something is on fire, we want to be the ones to use our training to put it out. Yeah. And it is it's humbling when you see that fire all around you, but you know what to do to put it out. So again, my phone number 502-539-7213. If you have any questions, or if I can provide any assistance to help you navigate the process, I'd love to be there for you.
How many? And that's so kind of you to share your number. How many positions are you looking to fill?
We will be looking to hire 25.
25.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Susan Smith just posted here, and I just want to share her message. She wrote, I wrote a thank you letter, put it in a card, then dropped it off Frankfurt Fire Station number 2 after they put out a small fire in the ceiling of my next door neighbor's apartment on Easter Sunday. We shared a duplex. Susan, I'm glad you're okay. I hope your neighbor is okay. And that was really kind of, I know you all appreciate the thank yous and the people coming by later to say, hey, you helped me out and it made a difference.
Yeah, honestly, anytime I do anything with like elementary school and they make little I save all of that. Like, I mean, it's just, to me, they're treasures. So we really do appreciate when the people that we help, if they can reach back out to us, if they choose to do so. Sure. But we hang these cards I bet you could go to that firehouse and that card's hanging on the bulletin board in there.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Yeah. Thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you. It's always an honor and a pleasure. And thanks for having me on today.
You made this conversation so easy, and I hope that you get some really great men and women. I know that they're out there in our community who are going to apply.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much. I'm Myra Ansari with Captain Stewart from Louisville Fire Department. Have a great 4th of July.